Ladies and gentlemen, water is calm. It reflects the sky. When the mind is calm, it reflects truth. In the same way, a woman who has trained her heart and her habits becomes irresistible, not because she tries to be, but because her presence carries a natural gravity. Consider this. People are not drawn to noise. They are drawn to peace, to steadiness, to the rare quality of someone who moves with depth. Let us walk together through 6 habits expressed in 18 teachings, each one a seed of practice, each one a way of returning to strength and grace. When water rests in a still lake, you can see the sky reflected perfectly upon it. You can see clouds moving, trees bowing towards their reflection, even your own face looking back at you. But when the water is restless, when waves disturb its surface, what do you see? Only distortion, broken shapes, and unclear images. The same is true for the human mind. A restless mind cannot see truth, cannot recognize beauty, and cannot make wise choices. A restless heart misreads people and situations, but a still mind is like a clear lake. It reflects reality as it is. That is why the first habit that makes a mature woman truly high value, truly irresistible, is the capacity for stillness before action. Stillness does not mean inaction. It does not mean becoming passive or withdrawn. It means choosing the pause before response. It means creating space between the stimulus and your reaction. In daily life, most people live like puppets pulled by strings. Someone says a hurtful word and immediately the reply comes sharp and defensive. A driver cuts in front and the horn is pressed with anger. The phone rings and it must be answered at once, but such instant reactions show no mastery. They reveal a person controlled by external events instead of by their own spirit. A woman who carries value is one who can pause, breathe, and allow her inner clarity to choose what is appropriate. This pause itself is power. In Shaolin training, when young monks first arrive, they are eager. They want to punch quickly, to kick with speed, to demonstrate their strength. But the master slows them down. The first lesson is not movement, it is stillness. Hours are spent in horse stance, knees bent, body still, eyes calm. Many grow impatient, asking why must we stand like this? Why not attack? And the master answers, if you cannot stand still for 5 minutes, how can you stand firm in life for 5 years? The habit of pausing before action is not weakness, ending. It is mastery, because from that stillness, every movement becomes deliberate. Every word becomes chosen. Think about relationship. Many connections between men and women break not because of great betrayal, but because of small uncontrolled reactions, a careless insult, a rushed judgment, a heated word that cannot be taken. Imagine instead a woman who, when confronted with tension, simply takes a breath and lets silence speak first. Her partner feels her strength, not in her loudness, but in her calm. That calmness is irresistible because it gives. Everyone is drawn to the one who can hold storms without being swept away. So how to practice this in daily life? Start with something simple. When the urge to respond quickly arises, whether in conversation or when tempted to check your phone, pause for 2 breaths. It is training. 2 breaths create space. In that space, clarity comes. In that clarity, you are no longer a puppet. You are the master. And this mastery, though invisible to the eye, is felt deeply by those around you. They trust you because they sense you are not reactive but conscious. Ask yourself now, how many times have I spoken words I later regretted simply because I did not pause? How many conflicts in my life could have softened if only I had taken 2 breaths before replying? Reflection like this invites humility, and humility is the soil where high value grows. The woman who pauses, who carries stillness, is a rare presence in a noisy world. Her stillness becomes her power, her magnetism, her natural attraction. Not because she tries, but because she simply is. Now let us flow into the second teaching. Words are not neutral, they are living energy. They shape the world around us and within us. A high-value woman understands that her words can either heal or harm, bring peace or ignite fire. This is why she chooses words as medicine. She does not waste them in gossip. She does not weaponize them in anger. She does not cheapen them with constant flattery. Instead, she speaks with intention, with discipline, and with care. Her words become rare and therefore precious. They carry weight. People listen when she speaks, not because she's slow purpose. There is an old saying in the East, the tongue is soft but it can break bones. Consider how many relationships have been destroyed by sharp words more than by fists. Consider how many children carry wounds from careless remarks spoken by parents. Words are subtle, yet their impact is profound. When a woman chooses her words with care, she becomes a safe space. Her partner knows that even in conflict, she will not want recklessly. Her friends know that her encouragement is sincere. Her children or family members know that her words bring stability, not chaos. I remember a woman I once knew. She never spoke when angry. Instead, she would write down what she felt in a small notebook. She allowed the storm to pass first. Then when her emotions settled, she spoke. Her words were precise, soft, and yet unforgettable. People respected her deeply because when she finally chose to speak, it was like hearing wisdom distilled through patience. Her words were medicine. And what is medicine? It heals, it restores, it brings balance. This is why people trust her. Her value was in her ability to bring peace through language. In your own life, notice how you use words. Do you speak to release your tension? Or do you speak to create harmony when you argue? Do you seek victory? Or do you seek understanding? A high-value woman does not waste words on proving she is right. She chooses words that serve truth, not ego. And because of this, her presence becomes healing. People feel lifted after speaking with her. They feel understood. And this is rare. Rare things are always valuable. One practical way to train this is simple. Before speaking in a heated moment, ask yourself silently, does this word create harmony or division? If the answer is division, hold silence. Silence is better than a word that poisons. In time, this discipline becomes natural. And when your words do come, they will be respected, treasured, and remembered. This is not about manipulating others. It is about living with integrity. Your speech reflects your inner discipline. It's magnetic. People feel it. They are drawn to it because it is safe and strong. Ask yourself, are my words leaving behind a trail of healing or a trail of scars? This question alone, if asked sincerely, can transform your relationship. It can help you become someone whose presence feels irresistible, not because of beauty or charm, but because of the way you make others feel when you speak. To be listened to, trusted, and respected, this is a far deeper form of attraction than appearance alone. And so we come to the third teaching. High value is not only in stillness of mind or in wise speech. It is also carried in the body in the way one moves, walks, and holds oneself. The way a woman walks tells a story. It tells of her inner state, her balance, her dignity, and her self-respect. Walking with grace is not about perfection or elegance in the worldly sense. It is about harmony in energy. It is about alignment between the inner and the outer. People sense grace not with their eyes, but with their nervous system. Grace calms others. Grace attracts without effort. There is a memory that stays with me. On the temple grounds, an elderly woman came every morning to walk. She was not young, not tall, not dressed in any special way. Yet, as she walked slowly, steadily, with each step balanced and intentional, everyone noticed her. Why? Because her movements were in harmony. She was not rushing. She was not dragging her feet. She walked as though the ground was sacred, as though each step was prayer. People felt drawn to her, not because of beauty, as the world defines it, but because of the energy she carried in her walk. This is what it means to walk with grace. In relationships, grace is magnetic. A woman who walks with presence sends a silent message. I am at peace within myself. That peace makes others want to be near. It inspires trust. It awakens admiration. In a world where many move in haste, stumbling through life distracted, the one who moves with awareness becomes unforgettable. Even in crowded places, she stands out not by effort but by energy. How to cultivate this grace? Begin by slowing down your walking. Feel each step touch the earth. Imagine that the earth is listening to your feet. Walk not as if you are late, not as if you are rushing to escape, but as if each step is an offering. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing guide your rhythm. Try this for one. Even when walking from room to room, you will notice not only how others see you, but how you feel within yourself. Slowness creates dignity. Awareness creates grace. Ask yourself, when I walk, am I rushing through life or am I honoring each step? What story does my walk tell about me? Does it tell of anxiety, distraction, or insecurity? Or does it tell of presence, steadiness, and calm? Your walk reveals your state of being. To walk with grace is to live with grace, and this is irresistible. People do not consciously say she walks beautifully, but unconsciously they feel it. They feel peace in your presence. They feel admiration for your composure. They are drawn to you because you carry harmony in your body as well as in your mind. Stillness before action, words as medicine, walking with grace. These three teachings already shape a woman into someone magnetic. Not by effort, but by alignment, she becomes irresistible. Not because she tries to attract, but because she carries within herself the qualities that every heart is hungry for: calmness, clarity, and harmony. These are the habits of one who has trained her spirit. These are the habits of one who is not ordinary but extraordinary in her maturity. When you stand before a great mountain, you realize something important. The mountain does not shout. It does not move for every wind. It does not need to explain its height. Its strength is not in constant display, but in its silent endurance. This is the essence of restraint. True power is not in grasping for everything, not in saying everything, not in showing everything, but in the discipline of choosing what not to do, what not to say, what not to accept. A woman of depth, of maturity, of high value does not reveal herself by chasing or by proving. She reveals herself through the quiet master of restraint. In the martial arts, one of the first things students learn is that the most dangerous strike is not the one that is thrown, but the one that is held back. The punch that never lands shows control. The kick that stops just before the body of the opponent demonstrates discipline. Why? Because anyone can release force, but not everyone can control force. The same is true in life. Anyone can lash out in anger, indulge in excess, or run after fleeting desires. But not everyone can step back, smile gently, and choose patience instead. It is this control, this refusal to be enslaved by impulse that makes a woman truly radiant. She becomes someone others admire because her strength is not chaotic, but contained. Her energy is not wasted, it is preserved. Restraint in daily life can be practiced in simple ways. When anger rises, she does not allow her voice to rise with it. When gossip tempts her, she chooses silence. When an unhealthy relationship knocks at her door, she does not open it, even if loneliness whispers. This restraint is not bitterness, it is clarity. It is the ability to see what drains life and to choose against it. Even when emotions try to persuade otherwise, such restraint, practiced again and again, becomes dignity. And dignity is irresistible, for it cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is the quiet fragrance of self-respect. Consider how restraint transforms relationships. When one partner lashes out, the other often reacts and the fire grows. But if one holds restraint, refusing to escalate, the fire has no fuel. Arguments soften. Respect is preserved. When someone presses you to explain yourself, sometimes restraint means you do not justify. You do not beg for understanding. You allow silence to speak. The one who can restrain from defending their ego often leaves a greater impression than the one who floods the air with arguments. The mature woman who has mastered restraint becomes unshakable because she is no longer pulled by the ropes of impulse. And yet restraint does not mean suppression. Suppression is heaviness. Restraint is clarity. Suppression is fear. Restraint is freedom. When you restrain, you are not closing your heart. You are opening space to choose wisely. You are refusing to become a servant of every passing urge. To practice this, begin simply once a day. Choose to say no. It may be to a small distraction, a wasteful activity, or an invitation that does not align with your well-being. Each time you say no, feel the strength. Over time, this becomes natural and people feel your presence as solid, trustworthy, magnetic. Now let us enter another dimension of strength, the silent art of boundaries. Boundaries are often misunderstood. Some think they are walls built to push people away. Others see them as selfishness, as refusal to care. But this is not the truth. Boundaries are not walls. Their river does not stop the flow of water. It guides it. It shapes the course, ensuring balance, ensuring that life flows without destruction. Boundaries in human life work the same way. They are not about rejection. They are about respect. They are about teaching others how to treat you, not through loud demands, but through consistent self-respect. When a woman has no boundaries, she becomes like a cup without shape. Whatever others pour in, she absorbs. Even if it poisons her, people unconsciously lose respect for someone who betrays her own limits. They push further. They take more because the person herself has not defined where respect begins and where ends. On the other hand, when a woman carries clear boundaries, she does not need to raise her voice or explain endlessly. People feel her line even if it is never spoken loudly. her calm refusal, her gentle no, her quiet withdrawal when something crosses the line. These are enough. Boundaries are strength without aggression. I once spoke with a young woman who complained that her friends constantly ignored her feelings. She felt drained, unappreciated, and invisible. I asked her a simple question. Do you respect your own limits? She was silent. Slowly, she realized that she had been saying yes to every request, allowing people to cross her comfort again and again because she feared rejection. When she began to say no calmly without anger, something shifted. People began to listen. They began to adjust their behavior. Her friendships improved, not because she forced respect, but because she first respected herself. Boundaries taught others how to love her correctly. Boundaries in relationships are especially powerful. Many women fall into the trap of giving endlessly, hoping that their generosity will secure love. But love without boundaries is not love, it is dependence. True love needs structure. A woman who can say, I love you, but I will not allow disrespect create security for herself and for her partner. She becomes more desirable because her partner knows her love is strong but not weak. She's not afraid of losing someone by protecting herself. She is not desperate and therefore her presence carries weight. Practicing boundaries begins with clarity. You must ask yourself, what do I value? What is sacred to me? Once you know this, you protect it. Protect your time. Protect your energy. Protect your body. Protect your peace. Protect your dignity. When you protect these, not with aggression but with quiet firmness, the world begins to respect you. And in this respect, your value grows. The woman who lives without boundaries is easily forgotten. The woman who lives with boundaries cannot be ignored. Connected with boundaries is another gift, one even more rare, the art of listening. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. Listening is not filling silence with advice. Listening is the discipline of presence. It is the ability to enter into the silence of another person without trying to control it. When a woman listens in this way, she becomes irresistible because she offers what the human heart longs for most to be heard. Most people listen with half their mind. While the other speaks, they are preparing their reply, defending themselves, planning their response. But the mature woman who has trained her heart knows how to give space. She leans into silence. She does not rush to fix or to prove or to display wisdom. She listens, truly listens, as if nothing else matters in that moment. And the miracle is this: people leave her presence feeling understood, even healed, not because she solved their problems, but because she gave them the rare gift of undivided attention. I recall a young monk who once came to me distressed about his failures in training. He spoke for more than an hour. I said only 5 words in that time. At the end, he bowed and said, "Thank you for your wisdom, Master." But the wisdom was not in my words, it was in my silence. What he needed was not correction, but a space where his heart could empty itself without judgment. This is the power of listening deeply. In relationships, this skill transforms everything. When conflicts arise, the one who listens deeply calms the fire. Instead of interrupting or rushing to defend, she listens, creating space for understanding. Her partner feels seen, and when someone feels seen, their anger softens. Friends trust her because she listens without judgment. Children open to her because her attention feels safe. This quality is magnetic. People are drawn to those who listen because being heard is one of the deepest human desires. How to practice this in your own life? Begin with 1 conversation a day. As you listen, notice when your mind begins to plan your reply. Gently bring it back to the speaker. Allow silence to exist without rushing to fill it. Nod. Breathe. Let the other finish. When you do respond, respond not with a lecture but with reflection. I hear you are feeling tired, or I see this matters deeply to you. This small change is profound. It creates intimacy, respect, and trust. Ask yourself, do I truly hear the hearts of others or only their words? Do I listen to understand or do I listen to reply? When you cultivate deep listening, you not only transform how others experience you, you transform how you experience life. You begin to hear more, see more, feel more. The world reveals itself in details that hurry and noise cover. Restraint, boundaries, and listening. These 3 are not techniques to manipulate others. They are states of being. Together they create a woman who is deeply grounded, deeply trustworthy, deeply magnetic. She is not carried away by impulse. She holds herself with dignity. She is not drained by others. She honors her own sacred space. She is not distracted by her own ego in conversation. She offers the medicine of presence. This combination creates a rare energy, an irresistible force that draws us others without her needing to chase. The truth is simple. People are not drawn to noise. They are drawn to presence, and presence is cultivated when you choose restraint. When you uphold boundaries and when you listen with your whole being, these habits require discipline, but discipline is freedom, and freedom is beauty. There is a reason why some people seem to glide through life with a sense of quiet strength and dignity, while others constantly find themselves drained, disrespected, or disregarded. That difference often lies in the way they understand their worth and protect. Many individuals struggle not because they lack intelligence, talent, or goodness, but because they allow themselves to be pulled into the gravitational field of people who neither value their presence nor respect their boundaries. Respect is not just about courtesy or politeness. It is about the re-recognition of your humanity, of your right to exist without being diminished. And the way you carry yourself, the standards you set, and the limits you enforce will determine whether people honor that or trample it. When you begin to live with awareness of your value, you realize that not every situation requires your presence. Not every person deserves your explanation, and not every battle is meant for you. Life has a way of testing whether you are willing to defend your own dignity or whether you will easily surrender it for temporary approval. The mistake that so many make is in thinking that being accommodating, endlessly forgiving, or excessively available win them love and loyalty. In reality, it often breeds the opposite: contempt, manipulation, and neglect. Those who give without discernment, who serve without boundary, eventually become invisible in the eyes of those who take from. You must remember that how others treat you is often a reflection of what you first accept for yourself. If you allow disrespect once, you silently give permission for it to continue. If you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, you teach them that your light is negotiable, that your truth can be dimmed for their convenience. And once that standard is set, it becomes harder to undo. People rarely raise the level of respect they give you on their own. It is you who must insist on it. The strength to do this, however, doesn't come from arrogance or hardness. It comes from clarity. It comes from knowing what you will and will not tolerate, and being unshakable in that stance even when it costs you relationships, opportunities, or temporary comfort. Hadith. Many fear this level of firmness because they do not want to be seen as cold, selfish, or unloving. But true love, whether for yourself or for others, cannot survive without respect. Love without respect becomes exploitation. Kindness without respect becomes servitude. Patience without respect becomes enablement of abuse. Consider for a moment how often you have excused someone's repeated mistreatment of you because you believed their potential mattered more than their actions. Perhaps you told yourself they didn't mean it. Or if I just keep being patient, they'll change. But years pass and the pattern only deepens. Respect is never cultivated by passivity. It is demanded through consistent action. When you stop giving excuses, when you finally walk away from behavior that undermines you, you send a message not only to others but to yourself. I am worth more than this. That shift, though painful, is the beginning of reclaiming your power. You see, people instinctively test boundaries. Even those with good intentions want to see how much they can lean on you, how far they can push, how much of yourself you are willing to sacrifice. This is not always malicious, it is human nature. But if you never draw a line, if you never enforce a standard, you cannot blame others for walking all over what you left unguarded. Your life is like a housey. If you never lock the doors, if you never maintain the walls, anyone can enter and rearrange things to their liking. And then you wonder why your peace feels disturbed, why your energy feels stolen, why your joy feels fleeting. The truth is many people confuse selflessness with self-erasure. They think being good means never saying no, never challenging mistreatment, never withdrawing from those who exploit them. Yet there is nothing noble about being depleted. A candle that burns at both ends does not light the room longer. It burns itself out faster. Protecting yourself is not selfish. It is stewardship of the life you've been given. When you operate from that understanding, your presence becomes more powerful. Your words carry more weight and your love has more authenticity because it comes from a whole. Respect itself rather than a broken, desperate one. Think of the times when you stayed silent while someone insulted you, dismissed your feelings, or took advantage of your kindness. Did that silence heal the situation? Did it inspire them to respect you more, or did it embolden them to repeat the pattern? Often the latter is true. Silence in the face of disrespect is interpreted as consent. Your unwillingness to confront does not spare you from conflict. It invites more of it. Yet when you calmly, firmly, and consistently draw a line, something shifts. The wrong people will retreat, but the right people will rise to meet your standard, and in that way your circle becomes purified, not by chance but by your courage to enforce respect. It is also important to understand that respect begins in the smallest. It is not only about how people treat you in grand moments, but in everyday interactions, whether they listen when you speak, whether they keep their promises, whether they acknowledge your boundaries without resistance. If someone consistently interrupts you, dismisses your efforts, or ignores your requests, they are already communicating their level of respect. Do not deceive yourself into thinking they will honor you in greater matters when they fail in the small ones. Attention to detail in relationships reveals the deeper truth. Those who value you will show it not in occasional gestures but in consistent patterns. At times, enforcing respect requires solitude. Walking away can feel lonely, especially if you have invested years into a relationship, a friendship, or a work environment. The temptation to compromise just to keep company is strong. But loneliness with dignity is always better than togetherness with dishonor. One sharp season of solitude can cleanse your life of years of toxicity. And when you endure that period with strength, you attract the kind of people who are drawn not to your weakness, but to your strength, not to your availability, but to your self-respect. To live this way, you must cultivate an inner stillness that is not swayed by guilt, manipulation, or pressure. People will call you difficult when you enforce standards. They will call you arrogant when you refuse to be mistreated. They will call you selfish when you choose peace over chaos. But remember, their labels are a reflection of their discomfort, not your worth. The ones who truly belong in your life will never be threatened by your strength. They will be inspired by it. There comes a moment when you must decide that your soul is no longer a playground for others' carelessness. That your time is too precious to be wasted on conversations that go nowhere, arguments that drain you, or relationships that chip away at your self-esteem. When that decision becomes firm, life begins to open up. The energy you once wasted on defending yourself against disrespect becomes fuel for growth, creativity, and peace. Your spirit becomes lighter, your steps more intentional, your days more fulfilled. So the lesson is simple but powerful. Stop giving people discounts on your worth. Stop selling yourself at clearance value just to be chosen. Those who cannot afford the price of your presence are not meant to carry it. And when you embody that truth, ChatGPT said, and so the lesson is simple but powerful. Stop giving people discounts on your worth. Life has a way of teaching us, sometimes gently, sometimes painfully, that when we lower our value just to be accepted, we end up losing pieces of ourselves in the process. Too often, we shrink to fit into spaces we were never meant to occupy. We silence our voices so others won't feel intimidated. We hide our brilliance so no one feels overshadowed. We bend, twist, and compromise until the reflection staring back at us in the mirror feels like a stranger. All because we crave belonging. All because we want to be chosen. But here is the truth. You are not for everyone. And that is not a flaw, it is a divine design. When you keep offering discounts on your worth, you teach people how to treat you. You teach them to expect your presence without gratitude, your time without respect, your love without reciprocation. And slowly, you begin to wonder why you feel so empty, so unseen, so unappreciated. It's because you have been selling yourself at clearance value while carrying the weight of something priceless. The ones who cannot afford the full price of your presence were never meant to carry it in the first place. Some people will only value you when you stop giving them access to the parts of you they took for granted. And so the shift begins when you decide to stop negotiating with your worth, when you stop auditioning for roles you were born to own, when you stop apologizing for the space you occupy, the light you carry, the dreams you chase. The right people, the ones aligned with your destiny, will never ask you to shrink so they can feel bigger. They will never demand a discount because they recognize the value in what you bring. They will pay the full price of loyalty, respect, and love without hesitation because they see what you carry. When you embody this truth, something powerful happens. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start choosing. You realize that your worth was never up for debate. It was only waiting for you to recognize it. Confidence rises. Boundaries form. Peace settles in places where chaos once lived. And the world around you begins to respond differently because you have changed the way you respond to it. So stop giving people discounts on your worth. Stop offering yourself to those who cannot value what they are holding. The right ones will come. The ones who see your value will stay. And you will never have to sell yourself short again just to feel worthy of love, respect, or belonging. You were never meant to be on the clearance rack. You were always meant to be priceless.